Great
Well,
human being. Yeah.
We're still recording. Real quick, do you have any story about Shy Tuttle?
I just remember Shy when he was a freshman coming in. He was obviously bigger than everybody else, and I was like, oh,
Right.
is this kid? Because we were playing, 4A football, which is the highest classification in the state, and I was like, is this guy going to be ready for this stage?
Mm-hmm.
And like the first play he played, he threw the guy out of the way, made the play in the backfield about 3 yards deep, got up and started, pounding his chest a little bit. And I was like, okay, I think he's going to be fine. But
Welcome, guys. It's the Famisphere Podcast. I'm your host, Keith. I'm joined by Coach King and joined by the Director of High School and Alumni Relations at Wake Forest, Mr. Mark Holcomb. Welcome, Mr. Holcomb. And I want to just real quick give us a little background on how you got to Wake Forest, maybe your background in a little bit of football.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. So I've lived in this area of the country my entire life. Actually, I've lived in the same house since I think 1996. I've been a Wake fan my entire life, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. Went to college at App State, ended up getting my degree in teaching. I was a head high school football coach for 20 some years. I don't know. It kind of runs together. I was a public school teacher for 30 years, then went to a private school after I retired. And then when the new staff came on, they came over to recruit our private school, which is like 10 minutes away from campus. And I was just kind of like, hey, you guys need a high school relations director. And, because I knew that position is becoming more and more, prevalent. And we talked about it for a few minutes, me and the assistant head coach, and then I gave them my resume. They were like, this is something we want to do. Obviously, we're trying to get all the staff hired right now and get everything else done, because they got here in January of last year. And so it was kind of, rapid fire with the transfer portal and all the recruiting. So I ended up taking this job or interviewing and getting offered this job March of last year. So I've been here for a year and a couple months. So, it's been great. To get to wake up every morning and put on Wake Forest gear and drive to Wake Forest is incredible. And plus the group of guys that I get to work with are just awesome. I mean, they're great human beings.
That's really cool. You mentioned March is when you got the job, and I actually had the opportunity to sit in on one of your sessions at Glazier in Charlotte when you were speaking up there, and so I remember you as when you opened it up as head coach at the school that you're at. Oh, I'm actually taking over. I'm going to a position in Wake Forest, and I'm starting about a week.
Yes.
How was that? The national signing days in February, and brand new staff, and of course you brand new. What was that transition like, and what did you guys have to do to get the ground running?
It was tough because Coach Dicker was obviously like, we want you here as quick as we can get here, but we also want to, respect your other job, make sure that you give those guys time to, work by 2 weeks and get out. Both of them were very helpful. I actually started the Monday before we started spring practice on a Tuesday. So my first day was, hey, here's your laptop. I'm sending some emails to coaches, trying to get coaches on campus. And then spring practice is here. So the first month and a half, I mean, I was literally trying to keep my head above water, because I want to, obviously I'm old, so I had a relationship with some of the guys in the state. Now I'm trying to get those guys on campus to a place that has in the past been closed down a little bit to the high school and outside because of some of the things that have happened, not because of any coaches, but because of some things that happened in the past here with some, game planning stuff getting out. And so it was kind of like, all right, guys, our doors are wide open. We want you to practice. We want you guys in the meetings. And then when you start getting some of those high school guys on campus and they're like, wow, we can sit in the meetings. Like they're they're talking about and teaching this exactly like they would teach it to their kids. We're in here with them. Then that helped out with a little bit of our credibility, getting guys on campus a little bit more too. And obviously when you get the coaches on campus, then you get the players on campus, which is our ultimate goal, is to create relationships with as many schools as we can, not just the schools that have good players, but all the schools, because you never know when somebody's going to come there, and we want that relationship. So it was a sprint the first couple of months here, probably from March to June. I don't remember a whole lot about it now because it was just like go 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 go, and but I really enjoyed it. I told my wife, I said, I'll see you when we get on break. And she was a high school, married to a high school football coach and an athletic director, which was me for a long time. So she understood that that time
Knows the
commitment.
grind.
So
Yeah. And I'll say, I can tell you enjoy it, you're very passionate about it. And when you enjoy doing what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So
amen.
that's awesome. Backing up just a little bit though, you mentioned that you grew up a Wake Forest fan. Now you're at Wake Forest. And I'm sure I speak for Keith and I, but I think I speak for a lot of college football fans. What is a Demon Deacon? Because it sounds like an oxymoron. Growing up in the South, we know what a deacon is, and a demon. But what is a demon deacon?
I think so. This is obviously was established as a Baptist university.
Okay.
So the deacon comes from that part of it. A high-ranking official in the Baptist church. The demon part, I think, is a little bit in conjunction with the Blue Devil, because Wake Forest used to be located down in Wake Forest, North Carolina, which is in the Raleigh-Durham area. So I think it was a spin-off of that. And so that's kind of how things got to be. But it's pretty synonymous now with the different logos. And I'm old enough I grew up on the deacon head, and then I'll start seeing all the different things now. Now we've got the walking deek, so I've seen the transition through all these things. So it's pretty cool. And actually, my dad grew up about a mile from here, so we spent a lot of Sundays out here running around the university when I was a little kid. Just kind of hanging out and killing time. So it was an obvious marriage, I guess you'd say.
I've always enjoyed the Demon Deacon logo, but I'm with Jesse. I didn't really understand where it came from. I didn't know it was a Baptist university in the beginning. So that makes a lot of sense.
I don't think we're a mean deacon. Let's put it that way. We just kind of got that. They kind of got that the snarl to them a little bit. So yeah, so that's it. Kind of a happy medium.
Just a good fiery Baptist,
There you go.
What excites you the most about the direction of Wake Forest football under Coach Dick? Oh my goodness, Dicker.
Well, I mean, just the first day I was here, his energy was, crazy. He's a high energy guy, and you can just tell that he enjoys what he's doing. You could tell he's passionate about his players. He holds them to a standard. I kind of, the first couple of days, went home and told my wife, I said, this guy's energy level is at, is 100% all the time. I'm wondering if he's going to run out of gas, and he hasn't run out of gas to this point. Like that's what you see is what you get. Like when you see him do a press conference, he's the same guy if you walked up to him and shook his hand and were coming to visit our campus. He always has time for people. He has a busy schedule, but he has time for people. He has time for our alumni. He has time for the high school coaches. We had a 7-on-7 camp here yesterday, and he was out there the entire camp, walking around, talking to coaches, talking to, that's kind of what he is. And I think the biggest thing about him is watching him and our other coaches drive. I know culture is a buzzword for everybody, but drive the culture, because when you think about it, these guys got here in January. We start spring practice in March. We were picked to win 2.5 games. We end up winning 9 with a brand new roster of some holdovers. Mm-hmm. We had to hit the transfer portal pretty big last year because we graduated kids. Then we had some kids transfer because of the coaching change. So to bring those kids together in that short period of time, to see how connected we were, I mean, it made me a believer in all these guys. I mean, just when they sit down and talk to people on official visits, and they're like, it's not always about football. It's about what can we do to develop you as a human being, because you're going to be a father, you're going to be an employee or an employer at some point, and a spouse. Like you got to take the same attitude as you do towards that. And the one thing they really, really stress is you got to love football. Like everybody loves being recruited. Like I was picking out with kids yesterday on campus. I said, I'm 56 and I still like it when my wife recruits me, right? But the thing about it is when the recruiting stuff goes by, it's football and you got to love doing it. And I think that's one of the things that he understands, and he does a good job of communicating that to the players.
Coach, you mentioned the season that you guys had. You guys well exceeded the expectations last year, and which the media, those predictions are always it's like throwing paint against a wall. But year one, you guys go 9-4 with a win in the Mayo Bowl over Mississippi State. What are those expectations now, not in the media, but for you all in your coaching staff for 2026? Where do we go from here?
Our coach's mantra is built in the dark. So like our guys, the spotlight is out there. The spotlight is the Saturday games. The spotlight is the recruiting, the rankings, the 24/7, the rivals, all that stuff, right? And if you start reading too much of that stuff about yourself, then you forget what got you there. So we all felt like we had a pretty good football team last year, a connected football team. And so it wasn't a surprise to us that we were winning some of those tough games and staying in some of those tough games. So his message was really clear. The light found us with 9 wins. We got to cut the lights back out. We got to get back in the dark and get to work. And that's what we've been doing in spring practice. That's what we've been doing with our workouts, our runs, our lifts, study hall, everything. Like don't start feeling too good about yourself. Don't forget what got you to where you're at. And that's the big key. That's tough because when you have success, obviously the expectation goes up, but you want expectations, right? But you also have to remember, how did you get to this point? So let's continue to do that. So
I love that.
Yeah,
Turn the lights
absolutely.
back off and get to work. I really do love that. Your season kicks off with a conference opponent in Toronto. How did that game get presented, and what's the staff's thoughts on opening the year with league play right out the gate?
Well, that's actually the following year. The game was announced. That's for the 2027 season. And exciting because we have some players from Canada on our team, and we do, and we have a lot of our alumni base up in the Northeast. So it's going to actually be pretty cool for us to go up there and kind of spread our brand around to that area. It's a conference game. It's the first game of the season, so it's obviously a big game. A lot of planning is going to go into that, to make sure everything, goes smoothly. But I think, like Coach said, the big thing is there's going to be a football game there, and that's the thing I think our kids got to remember is it's nice. It's nice to go somewhere else. It's nice to spread your brand. It's nice to be in different places that we've never been before. But we've got to make sure that we keep the main thing, which is the football game.
Right. Coach, so our podcast name, Fanmosphere, is kind of just something we created just in reference to the fan atmosphere. And so I want to ask you, what exactly, Keith and I have never been to a game at Wake Forest, though it is on our list.
Come on down. Come on, I get you tickets.
We'd love to come. What is the Fanmosphere in Winston-Salem like on any given Saturday? And if we were to come in 2026, which one do we need to be at?
Well, I mean, the big thing is when we play ACC games and in-state rival games, it's a great atmosphere. Like when we played NC State last year on a Thursday night, when we played Chapel Hill here on a Saturday, we played SMU on a Saturday, we played Georgia Tech on a Saturday. Those are great atmospheres. I mean, it's a great place to be. One of the games I would say to circle this year, we play the University of Miami on a Friday night, and I think it's game 3. So that's a big one. That's a big opportunity for our program, to be on a national spotlight. We've also got Virginia at home later, which we went to Virginia last year and beat them on ESPN, upset them when they were ranked in the top 20. So I think that's going to, be a big game for us. And then we finish up the season at home against Duke. So there are some pretty good games that are scheduled for here, and our fans, when it's an important game, they come out and support, and it's a great atmosphere. Like it was, uh, there were a couple of times last year. It's kind of electric. You kind of just catch yourself, looking around, going, "This is amazing." We're a small institution, but our students section is great. Our guys come and stay. Our alumni base is not as big as some other schools, but our alumni attend games well. And then just the local people in and around Winston-Salem. So it's a good place to be. We're always trying to make it better, the fan experience better.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Looking forward to that game, Keith, when we get to go.
Hopefully.
Well, I know a guy can probably get you tickets. So, and I do want to say this: we're in and around our stadium. So our stadium has a unique setup. It's about a quarter mile from campus, but the football stadium is there. The baseball stadium is right beside it. The basketball arena is right there. They're building something that we're calling the grounds that will be done in 2027, and this is going to be the ultimate fan experience. So there's condos, there's going to be shops, there's going to be bars that lead all the way down the street that fills in everything down to the stadium. So it is going to be,
Cool.
Google the grounds at Winston-Salem and you'll see it.
Yeah.
It is a huge investment for our university and our city, but it's going to be incredible. Like it's going to be something that you want to park somewhere and walk down through the whole thing so that you can get that game day experience.
That would be cool. Yeah, absolutely. The ACC just had a team play for the national championship that didn't even reach its own conference championship. How deep do you feel the conference is right now, and what do you think the future of the conference looks like?
Well, I mean, if you start looking through the conference, like it's one of those deals where you got teams that are upset. At one point there was a clear cut division. There was the Clemson, the Florida State, that division up, and then there was kind of the middle tier. But like last year, Georgia Tech came in here ranked, and we're a missed offsides call away from upsetting them, which would have been win number 10. We went to Florida State. Florida State struggled, and then Florida State, put it on us pretty good. And then SMU comes here. We beat SMU, and then Louisville and Miami. So it's kind of, it's kind of one of those things. And I know it's cliche-ish to say anybody can beat anybody, but when you look at the conference from top to bottom, there are not many games where you say, okay, we're going to be a big favorite in this, and we're going to be okay. And I think it just shows the strength of our conference when you're talking about somebody who didn't win the conference, all right, didn't go to our conference championship game, and then got a bid into the playoff system, and then you just see
Made
what
a
they
run.
did.
Yeah.
Right. So
they beat some very impressive teams along the way.
Correct. Good football, very good football, and a good, and I think with the expansion, obviously it helped spread the brand a little bit into the Dallas area, and then when you picked up, it is weird to say Atlantic Coast Conference and you got Cal and Stanford in there. That is weird,
Right.
but especially as an older guy like me who's known the ACC, up and down the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just spreading that, and it's making the conference a little bit stronger.
Well, I think too, it kind of speaks to the conference on, you talked about, anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday or Saturday. I'm sorry, but you guys, and not just Wake Forest, but the entire conference has shown they can compete with it, the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12 just as well as, those guys can play with each other. So
correct. And I think, it's not been long ago that we had an ACC team win the national championship. So it's, it just kind of, I guess, ebbs and flows a little bit. And whoever's playing hot or getting hot and playing good football at the right time too.
Right. You mentioned Cal and Stanford and SMU now being in the conference, and you look at the Power Four conferences. there's major conference realignment all across the country. Yeah, I know this may not be it may not be necessarily your role, but I'm sure you have take part in it. How tough is the travel plans and things when making those trips to California for a game versus playing Durham, North Carolina, or
So
Chapel Hill?
our guys, it's funny because our guys came from Washington State. So they were used to taking a plane everywhere,
Yeah,
because there's nothing close by except, Idaho's right there. But so this year we had one game on the West Coast, which was against Oregon State. This coming year, I think we go out one time for Cal or Stanford. I think it's Cal. And so the conference has done a good job of trying to limit the number of times people are going across, across country. But like we played Chapel Hill, we played Duke, we played Virginia last year, we played Virginia Tech. Those are bus rides away. I mean, we got on a plane to go to Florida State. We got on a plane to go to Oregon State. This year, obviously, we'll be going to Dallas, going to Cal, going to some of those games. But it's kind of, it's kind of old school to get on a bus and ride, an hour to a game and get ready for it. It kind of feels, but everything is kind of crammed in here close together too.
yeah, and I guess I'm a little reluctant for change. I'm not big on change. I'm kind of miss the old days of the old Big 12 and different everybody's conference being somewhat geographical. The
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do like. I think it's making it more competitive across every league with the
Mm-hmm.
expansion and the additions. So and
Well,
with
it
the
helps. It
playoffs
helps with
now too.
recruiting. It helps our recruiting footprint too, because
Right.
now there's a direct flight from Dallas to Greensboro. So now we're going to play in Dallas every other year, right? So
Mhm.
it's easier to tell a kid in Dallas, hey, there's a direct flight here. Plus, every other year we're going to be back in your hometown. So it's kind of helped with that. We've got some kids from the California area, the Oregon area, and hey, we're going to be back out there. You guys are not going to have to,
Right.
you're going to be able to see games.
I will say too, from a fan perspective, every Saturday night, 10 o'clock, you're gonna, in the old model, you're watching Pac-12 football, and I love the Pac-12. Nothing wrong with
Oh
Pac-12,
yeah,
but
no doubt.
now you get to see some Big Ten football or some ACC football or Big 12, depending on which team is playing one of these
Yeah.
teams from the East Coast.
Yeah,
So
you just
that is
hope as an
good.
East Coast team that when you fly out to California that you're playing those noon or 4 o'clock games. You don't want to play
Yeah,
those 8 o'clock games and then turn
yeah,
around and fly right back. So
absolutely,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
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 And that definitely could be tough.
Um, I don't have any more questions, Jesse, unless you
Okay,
do.
I'm
Yeah, I
good.
want to. I'm gonna ask
Whatever.
one more,
Yeah.
and then we got our 5 and 5.
Okay.
Coach, you hit a little bit on NIL and transfer portal. You mentioned the transfer portal was big when you guys first got there. Um, what exactly? And I know this is kind of a loaded question, but what exactly are your thoughts on where college football is headed right now with the NIL and the transfer portal? I know, again, I say from a fan perspective, it seems like there needs to be some type of safeguard somehow because things have it seems to be going off the rails a little bit. Where do you think we're headed? Do you think we're going to get a safeguard at some point? Do you think we're going to get some type of something to kind of
Yeah. Well,
make everything more consistent, or do you think?
everything is just my opinion because I don't have the inside information. I may
No,
not,
I
but
know.
yeah, there are, like, the coaches I think also want to have something, a
Right.
safeguard. Not now. I
Absolutely.
don't think. I think the players should get paid. I don't have a problem with
I
that. I
agree.
think that's something that's been
Yes.
coming for a long time. There needs to be a little more, maybe some more 2-year contracts with players. Just extend things out a little bit from that. I think the 5 and 5 has been talked about a lot, and I think that helps some of the things too. It's hard as the typical fan to keep up with your team because you look up and there's a different group of people on your team every year, and that's not healthy because we're forgetting the part that everybody's a student athlete. Well, if you're going to
Mm-hmm.
5 schools in 5 years, it's hard to be the student part of it and not just the athlete part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are some things coming down. I think our coaches do a good job of communicating with their ACC, officials and talking to those guys about what we want. The SEC and the Big Ten, obviously those things drive what's going on. There's been talk about, changing the recruiting calendar, changing the playing calendar to try to get the championship game over with early. Last year we played in the bowl game on a Friday night, and that night the transfer portal opened up. So we played in the game, and then our recruiting staff came back here before the game started, and we had players on campus the next day. So it's
Wow.
hard when you're talking about getting all those things set up exactly as you want. And you don't want to punish teams that are playing in a national championship game by saying, okay, well, the portal is going to be in the middle of your national championship run. So there's a fine line, but you got to make sure kids get in school. Like if you wait till February to open the portal up, the semester's already started. So, the academic piece. So there's a lot of moving parts that are way above my, knowledge of what's going on. But I do know that this is something that continues to evolve. We've went from 2 transfer portals to 1, which has helped out because now you have your team together for spring practice.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about people going through spring practice and saying, okay, I'm out now. I'm not getting this, or I'm going here. So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. So it's moving in the right direction. But you're right. As a casual fan right now, it's tough because I grew up watching this player, and he was at Wake Forest for 4 years playing, and I knew who he was and knew where he was from and knew everything about him. And then one year he's here, the next year he's somewhere else, the next year he's somewhere else. You kind of lose that, I guess, the personal feel about having a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think completely. Too, for there's the casual, like you said, the casual fan, not somebody that's really in tune with what's going on and who is going here, and all of a sudden it gets to August and September, and they're like, wait, who's this receiver? I don't remember him. He's
who's our starting quarterback? Where did our guy? Where did he go?
He's a redshirt senior, and I was like, well, and you look into it, and he's been 3 different places, and not saying anything, against the kid, but.
No.
But you're right. You lose that personal feel and personal connection as a casual fan to the team whenever you don't know half the starting lineup or who's that, the third down running back or whoever, that the team has brought in.
So from a player's standpoint too, I mean, if, some of these guys, not all these guys are going to go to the NFL.
Right.
So you're getting contracts that if you manage that money right, are going to be life-changing money for you at the age of 19, 20, 21.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want those kids to maximize their value and get the best that they can get for them. So, and sometimes that means staying at the school you're at. Sometimes that means, okay, I think I can increase my value somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a part of the whole, the whole landscape right now.
Yeah. It's a tough situation, I think, from every angle. And I look at it more from, a player, like I feel for the player's standpoint. One, if you bounce around from school to school to school, where exactly do you call home? Like you meet with you're the alumni relations director. So
exactly.
Where exactly
we need to still have an alumni.
You know what I mean? Like, and then, two, if you're at a school like Wake Forest and then you transfer to a school, and I'm not going to name any names, but a school that has lesser, academics, are you going to get that degree that's going to set you up in life after football? See if there's no NFL on the table. So it's really
a
tough.
degree from Wake Forest is big time, and it's going to set you up with a good alumni base too. But one of the things that gets missing, we signed 32 high school players this year. And you hear all these people, whether or not recruiting high school or not, everybody's going to the transfer portal. Like, that is still our lifeblood. We're going to recruit high school kids and develop those kids into players. Now, the players that we recruit have to be patient enough to get developed. And I think that's one of the things that that gets missing every now and then is, all these guys are great players on their high school team, and everybody wants to play as a freshman, but sometimes it's kind of, it's an uphill fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Keith, you have anything else? Are we ready for the 5 and 5?
I think we are ready for our 5 and 5.
Okay. So, Coach, Keith and I started when we originally started this. We end every episode with what we call 5 and 5. We used to do a top 5 list in a 5-minute window. Keith can never keep us at 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's usually me. I think you already kind of talked a little bit about this, but your theme, what are the 5 games on your 2026 schedule that you're looking forward to the most?
I would definitely say the Miami game,
Mm-hmm.
obviously NC State, Duke, Virginia, and then it's going to be one of those two. We go to Georgia Tech this year and to SMU. So
wow.
those are big games for us in terms of seeding, in terms of spreading our brand. We were fortunate enough to beat SMU last year. We were fortunate enough to beat Virginia last year. Like I said, lost to Georgia Tech at the end of the game in overtime. But we need to start winning those in-state games. We need to beat NC State. We need to beat Duke. We were able to beat Chapel Hill last year. We don't play them this year. So those in-state games are big for recruiting. But in the overall picture of it, obviously SMU, Georgia Tech, Virginia, those are big games too. So yeah. The national stage game against Miami's got to be the top one. So,
well, I mean, I'm just speaking from a fan perspective. That's going to be a game that I'm watching. I mean, it's just, you kind of understand what that means for the conference and the national, where teams are going. So that would be I would agree with you. The Miami game would have to be number one.
Yeah. So that's my 5 for 5. So.
Yeah, that's a good list. That's a really good list. And you kept it within 5 minutes. We usually don't do that, Keith. No, I'm just kidding. But Coach, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate you. This has been great. I know that we can talk a lot longer. I love hearing your stories, and I'm sure you could talk a lot longer too, but I know you have things to do. So
I could talk forever. Yeah,
we'll have you back again sometime or something.
Where you guys just let me know. I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you're doing. And this is pretty neat, and I look forward to seeing this.
Keith, we need to go to a Wake Forest game. It's only a 5-hour drive. We can make it.
Amen.
we can make that. That's not bad for us.
We need to get to Wake. No, it's not bad at all.
Go.
We may come to a game. I wish we could make it to that Friday Miami game. Unfortunately, if I could get out of Friday night.
That's the only bad thing about it is it's on a Friday night.
Yeah, right.
I was a high school football coach. Like, I don't want anything to distract from. And I know that college coaches don't like playing on Thursday and Friday nights either because of the conflicts.
Because of that,
I guess money talks, all right?
Well, I mean, when you get those spotlight games and they're like, "Hey, we got you on a Friday night," it's like, what
you're ESPN, so yeah. I mean, it's.
I mean, I get it. I do. I mean, you want that national spotlight, and especially if you're the game that Friday night, you're going to have a lot of eyes on you as a coach. You want that.
Yes.
So, but yeah, Jesse, we need to be in touch there and see if we can get some. Tickets.
Get up there and watch a game. Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Let's do it.
I've never been to a game in North Carolina before. So,
well, I'll get you over on campus and show you our facilities because you won't believe them until you see them.
I'd love to.
Well, and
pleasantly surprised. Yeah, we were very fortunate.
What did you say that the name of the fan?
The grounds.
The grounds.
The
okay,
grounds.
Yeah.
The grounds.
The grounds. Yeah.
I wonder if that's becoming a thing because Keith and I, we're in East Tennessee, and we grew up Tennessee fans. We're not far from Knoxville. Tennessee is doing something. I can't remember what they're calling theirs, but they're doing a fan experience in between Thompson Boling and Neyland. And I don't think it's as elaborate. Yours sounds way better, more advanced.
So if you're a Vols fan, Chi Tuttle played for me in high school.
Really? I did
Yes.
not.
Man.
If I'd have
Yes.
known that, we'd have
Yes.
talked about that
Yeah.
next time. Next time we're
Yeah.
going to talk about that.
Well, Jesse,
I just saw him last week. Yeah. So yeah,
Really?
great human being. Yeah.
We're still recording. Real quick, do you have any story about Shy Tuttle?
I just remember Shy when he was a freshman coming in. You know, he was obviously bigger than everybody else, and I was like, oh,
Right.
is this kid? Because we were playing, 4A football, which is the highest classification in the state, and I was like, is this guy going to be ready for this stage?
Mhm.
And like the first play he played, he threw the guy out of the way, made the play in the backfield about 3 yards deep, got up and started, pounding his chest a little bit. And I was like, okay, I think he's going to be fine. But he's a great player, but he's an even better person. Like he is just one of those guys that is very thankful for the coaches around him, the people that have helped him get where he's at. And he's come back and he's involved in his community. He's done some free football camps for the kids there too. So
That's
just
awesome.
an outstanding human being. It couldn't have happened to a better person. And he's a hard worker too. So he had shoulder surgery and after his junior year, so he was out for a little while of the lifting part of it and everything. And he did a great job of leading his teammates and wanting to get back. And one of my all-time favorites, no doubt.
That's really cool. We're actually in an interview that we did a couple of days ago this week. We were talking about I can't remember how it came about, but we were talking about that 2016 Tennessee season because we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that, and I would love to interview someone from that team. Still looking for somebody to get there. I'm trying, but yeah, we were talking about that. So it's funny that you mentioned him because he was on that team. And
I'll also say, I'll tell these guys around here, I'm like, I don't know if you know who Shy is, but I said he's the guy who intercepted Matt Ryan on Thanksgiving.
Yep, for the Saints.
Shoved him down and got a turkey leg at the end of the game. And I'm like, surely you remember that,
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know I did.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was an amazing play that he made.
He did that for us a couple of times and returned them for touchdowns. So, that's all coaching. You know that. It's all
absolutely. 100%. Putting the guy in the right spot.
Yeah.
I have not been fortunate enough yet to coach a player to that level, that magnitude. But I imagine when you get those players that make just one play like that, they're going far. They've got a future ahead of them. We had Coach Bobby Bentley on here a couple of days ago talking about a story with Marcus Lattimore in high school. And it's just like when when they're that good,
Amen.
All right.
Well, Coach, we'll let you get back to it, and I'll be in touch. Thank you again for joining us.
Guys.